Software programs for learning literacy and numeracy skills using the Nintendo DSi. Claire Holden, Loughborough College. This was a project that I have taken the lead on for the project as a result of the LSIS Leading the Digital Divide projects. It's been really important to me to think of a project that we've not done in college before, using devices we've never used, that I was able to take a lead on and work with student groups that we've not had much involvement in using ILT projects in the last 2 or 3 years. I also, because I manage the Learning Resources team, wanted to look for a project which involved using literacy and digital resources, the e-book resources on e-book devices, and that was where the project started. However, having talked to several groups of students and tutors in the college, the group that I actually decided to use it for the project was actually the Basic Skills study group, because one of the things that they need to do is to improve their literacy and numeracy skills, and currently they only have paper resources and resources online, so it was something that I wanted to do that involved much more interesting and engaging use of learning materials. My first meeting with the groups involved was meeting the tutor groups, because the tutors are very much involved and they'll be expected to lead in the project and use the resources. And having spoken to the tutors in the first instance, we changed our minds slightly on using e-book devices for most of the student groups, because students with having level 1 and level 2 basic skills needs would find digital e-book devices still fairly unengaging to use and probably quite difficult to read. However, there was one student that was identified as part of the discussions who is very much engaged in reading, and I decided I would purchase one e-book device as a means of a case study with this student. And I will, when I get back into college, speak to this student on an individual basis and allow him to select the types of books he wants to read. This young man is very much an avid book reader, so I'd very much like to use a case study with him over the next 3 months to see how he enjoyed using an e-book device to read books on. But the tutors themselves decided that actually what would be much more engaging for their students is to use the Nintendo DSi's, which are more multimedia. They have puzzle type games, information on them, as well as reading materials and numeracy materials. So this is what we decided to do as part of this project. A week after I spoke with the tutors, I went to meet with the student groups, and I explained the project and how it would work and whether they'd be interested in using Nintendo DSi's. The students were a range of ages, from teenage 16, 17-year-olds up to mature students, so very much a mixed group of students, both genders, with a range of needs. Some of them have been into school and felt that they'd not really succeeded at all and been disengaged from the educational process. Some of them were newly into college, perhaps not had good experience at school, and many of them have dyslexia, dyspraxia and other needs that they need to have support with while they're doing their basic skills qualifications. Many of the students that I spoke to were very enthusiastic about using the DSi's. Some of them had used them in the past, but many of them hadn't. But they'd certainly heard of things like the brain training programme, so they were very keen to use them, which was good. So I explained that as part of the project I would be purchasing the devices and I would come and see them as part of their groups. So we researched the DSi's, the Nintendo DSi's, and we purchased a selection of resources in agreement with the tutors, the brain training programmes, and then 1 or 2 fiction materials, the mystery stories, but also stories that were just not stories in terms of flat reading, but also had puzzles and interactive materials involved in reading the stories. So we felt that that was more engaging and the students would enjoy using them. As part of a number of ILT projects that we've had ongoing in the college over the past year, we've purchased an auditing bit of software which will allow us to put a number of mobile devices, which we're purchasing more and more of over the past 2 years, put those into the system and allow us to loan them to tutors or to student groups. So what we've done is we've asseted the devices as they've come into college, and we've put them into the system so that we are able to manage the loan of the resources, which is obviously quite important when you've got small games devices that are going out to students and being managed in the groups. So we need to make sure we've got a way of logging those and where they are at the moment. So we do have that. We're also very aware that we needed to manage the expectation of the student group, because the groups of the two groups that I'm working with, I've got 25 students in at both groups, and what we've done is we've bought 4 devices and a range of 8 games and materials for them. So there's not an awful lot of materials at the moment, but in terms of managing the long-term expectation, we're hoping that we will have these devices shared between the groups so that numbers of students can use them within the lessons, and more long term we will expect to be able to purchase more games as we go on. If it's successful in this short term pilot project, we'll be purchasing some more resources next year, and we'll continue to add to that. And the basic skills tutors will be able to manage those resources and use them with the student groups in college. So managing the expectation is something that I am aware of at the moment, and we'll need to make sure that works over the next 3 months. I've purchased the resources now and the Nintendos, but not actually been out to the student groups, having been off sick for the last 3 weeks. So I have now appointments to work with the students, and I'm intending to meet with them over the next 2 weeks during the timetables for the students, and with so that I can actually go out, introduce the students to the resources and the Nintendos, hand them over formally so that they're audited and loaned to the tutors, and in that way we will take the project forward. The case study with the young man and the e-book device, I will be speaking to him over the next 2 weeks. I shall make an arrangement to speak to him. We will identify some resources that he wants to read, the things that he likes to read, so that we can actually start to build up a collection of reading resources for those devices. The student focus groups, I shall arrange to meet them at the beginning of the project to introduce the materials, halfway through the project around the May half-term week, and again at the end of the project to see how they get on with them. And those student focus groups will be done as part of the timetabled groups when the basic skills students come to college and have their lessons, and that will work quite well. So I shall have some student focus group minutes and notes that I shall be taking formally as part of this project, both halfway through and at the end of the project. Just to say that I've purchased the resources, and I'm very much looking forward to doing this project with the students, and I think it will be very interesting to see how the students use the materials and the devices, and we'll look forward to doing the evaluation of the project in due course in the summer. Thank you.